Good morning, and welcome to Take a Break, Take a Breath for Friday, March 27th. I want to return to a story that I talked about earlier this week, the story of Elijah. And I told only the first half of that story, the part where he flees from all of his enemies and he winds up sleeping under a broom tree. Today, I want to talk about the second part of that story and use that for our imagery. In the second part of the story, he flees another day's journey and he winds up sleeping in a cave. And he meets God there. And God calls him outside to meet with God. And God Elijah says he wants to know God's presence. And the story goes that Elijah's outside and a great wind comes. But God's not in the wind. And a great earthquake comes, and God is not in the earthquake. And a great fire comes, and God is not in the fire. God comes, finally, in the sound of sheer silence. So this morning, as we take a break and take a breath, I'm hoping that we find some sheer silence and that we are drawn into the restorative power of God. Because for Elijah in that story, he is sent back, and he's sent back with work to do, and he's sent back with energy and strength and assurance that God is with him. So find a place in your home that is comfortable and hopefully quiet, and then sit down, take some deep breaths, and breathe in the breath of God, and then breathe out all that separates you from God. Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Now, imagine that you're in a place like a cave, and the presence of God comes to you in the coolness of that cave. And imagine that God's presence brings peace and calm to you. Let that calm wash over you like water running down over you. Imagine and let that calm come to you in the in your brow and on your head and down over your jaws. And then to your shoulders. And let the calm and relaxation of God wash down your arms to your hands. And open your hands. Open them to the presence of God. And allow God's peace and calm to come to your back and your abdomen, into your hips and your thighs and your calves and all the way down to your toes. And then, in your mind's eye, go to the side of a mountain. Maybe the mouth of a cave like where Elijah was. And imagine all of the things that are coming at you in your life as the great wind and the earthquake and the fire. What are the things that are in the wind and the earthquake and the fire that are keeping you from finding God's peace? And then imagine that God's Spirit comes to you in sheer, complete silence. In that silence, you can speak to God without all of the noise of all the storms that are in our lives right now. And you can hear God's voice and call to you. I'm going to give you a moment or two to be quiet and present to God in the silence. And then the time comes for that conversation to end, so you bring it to an end and allow the image to fade away. And then bring yourself back to the room where you are, refreshed and renewed from having been in the presence of God. And then open your eyes. Well, that's Take a Break, Take a Breath for today. Tomorrow is Saturday, and there'll be one more day this week of Take a Break, Take a Breath, and then a lot of different opportunities for those of you at Prospect Church who are keeping up with all of the emails. We'll be sending out some emails to make different kinds of connections, whether it's video worship or Connect Ed for kids or other things that are going on. There will be an adult Connect Ed as well. So we hope that these have been helpful to you, and you are always welcome to send feedback to rick@prospectchurch.org.